Lotus 43 BRM H16. I feel kind of guilty here, Andy, because I can only imagine what it must have been like for the Lotus mechanics 1 hour before the start of the US Grand Prix. They've just done the engine change. But first of all, how long do you think it would have taken to have done an engine change?
I think probably about 6-7 hours. I mean, you've got to. It does come away from the bulkhead, but there's a lot of pipes, wiring. There's a lot of things to connect, and and exhaust you'd have to swap over, and there would have been a hell of a lot of work.
So there's 1 hour to go before the start of the US Grand Prix. There's Jimmy Clark over there. Colin Chapman's here. You're chief mechanic. You're Bob Dancer, whoever. And he's saying, right, let's get this thing going. Nice. Before we do, very impressed to see that it's on Dunlop race tyres.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I mean, Jim was on Firestones, obviously,
Yes.
but Dunlop own Firestone these days, and I presumably at some point you can get some Firestones on it.
Yeah, well, the Firestones, I've got the original ones from '67, but
Oh, really? Oh,
I
brilliant.
don't really want to put them on when I'm driving around.
No.
They could be deteriorated.
Wow, that is amazing. So,
Yeah.
so how is that? So Jock Russell took those tyres off the car and put them in a stack somewhere?
No, they must have had those with the rims. There's a couple of sets of rims with it, and he just obviously used the other ones. So, and those always remained on the same rims. The Firestone Indy tyres were left there, and I got them. So we re-inflated them, paint the wheels, and that's where they sit.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're in the tech centre, the relatively new tech centre at Watkins Glen. We've got Alan over there. Just the two of you. Would it have been just two for a startup?
I think
ultimately,
probably one or two more. You might need the odd one with a fire extinguisher and a few panickers.
What's the procedure then for starting? How complicated is it?
Yeah, you obviously have to turn the ignition on for the vehicle. We've actually got the starter wired through a separate wiring at the back, so instead of engaging the starter from the inside, we're engaging it from the outside. So we put on the pumps, the ignition, open the throttles, squirt some fuel down it, and then get the starter on, and I'll hold the throttle and then hear the noise.
Well, let's go for it. Let's go.
Right, okay. So we'll get a bit of fuel down the trumpets to begin with.
And there are a fair few trumpets to get fuel down as well.
Well, there's 16 of them, and you have to get the fuel right down inside them, and then
multi-cylinder engines, I think, for all Formula One fans, are still part of the but not more than folklore. They are part of what we love about this sport. And I know we're going to V6s in 2014, but there's something about these big engines that get the adrenaline going, and it's kind of sad that their day is over. But nonetheless, over to you, Andy.
Okay, so now I've got fuel down there. We're going to put on 2 loud pumps, ignition, and then hopefully contact.
Brilliante. That was brilliant, Andy. Thanks, Alan, as well. I can imagine at this moment Dick Scammell would have breathed a sigh of relief and thought, right, Colin, over to you. And Jimmy would have climbed in and gone off to win the American Grand Prix.
That's right. It's a bit like a mission on World War II, I think.
It was.
Get in it and get on with it.
Yeah, but that's what we love about motor racing, isn't it? Solving all the little problems and then with a driver like Clark going out there and pulling off the win would have been just the icing on the cake. Well, thanks very much indeed, Andy.
No problem, it's a
Superb.
privilege.
Superb. And we'll be thinking of you over in Austin, the Grand Prix this weekend, because without races like Watkins Glen 66, we wouldn't have races like American Grand Prix today. It's all about heritage. It's all about the sport in 3D. The Racer's Edge. See you soon.